Okay, let's start. Hey guys, welcome back to Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. My name is Alec Cuenca and I'm your host. And before anything else, I would like to greet each and every one of you. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time, then welcome. I hope that you enjoyed this episode because we have an amazing episode right here. I'm very excited for this. If this is your end time, if you're an avid listener of the podcast, then welcome back. I missed you. I hope you're having a great time. Go binge listen the other episodes because they have a lot of amazing insights that you can learn from as well. And today's episode is a very special episode because we have a guest. Here in Small Talk Podcast, we are dedicated in bringing in more people that are invested in self improvement so that we can dive in a little bit deeper into their minds and maybe get an idea that could potentially help us with the decisions that we make in our lives. So, our guest for today is a TV host, an events host, a content creator, a streamer, and she is also the host of After 30, a 30 something reminding you to take deep breaths and live with gratitude. As we talk love, life, fear, relationships, career, sex, food, money, good books, and how life is so much different and oddly the same. I really love that. So let's all welcome to the show, Cara Eriguel. Hi, Cara.
Hi, Alec, and hello to all the listeners of Small Talk with Alec Cuenca. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm so excited.
It's my
Hi.
pleasure. I really enjoyed the conversations that we had when I guested on your show, and so hopefully we can, add more to that. And so I just want to say that your podcast is really amazing. When I every time that I listen to it, it starts with like this breathing exercise that you do, and not only that, like in the middle of the episodes, you also do like different activities just to help you relax and be at ease. And
Mm-hmm.
so when I was listening to one of your episodes, I really want to talk about this as well. And I listened to one episode about forgiveness, and I think that is a really powerful concept that a lot of people, hindi pa
Mm-hmm.
rin sila aware or di pa rin nila kayang i-tackle yung forgiveness. So, first and foremost, why do you think forgiveness is very important?
Oh, because it's just so heavy. It's just so heavy to not forgive. I mean, can you imagine carrying all the baggage, all the anger that you have towards someone, and then suddenly you have to forgive them? I mean, can you imagine that? Can you still hear me?
Yan. Ayan. Nawala ka. Natanggal mo ata yung mic?
Oh no, I can't hear you anymore, Alex. Sorry. Give me 2 seconds.
Okay lang. Go ahead.
What happened? Wait lang ah. It's my first time to record on GarageBand as well. I
Dahil
think
ba
my
doon
mic
kaya
naghugot. Okay, can
nagloko?
you hear me?
Yes. Can you hear me?
Bakit hindi kita marinig? Bakit hindi kita marinig?
meron naman.
Hello?
Meron ako dito. Hello.
Goodness gracious.
Wala. Output.
Default headphones.
Hi, can you hear me now?
Hi, I'm back. Yes, sorry.
Yes.
I don't know what happened.
Yay!
What happened?
Hindi ko alam.
Hindi ko siya ma-figure out. Ayoko na siya mangyari ulit. Sorry, wait lang ah.
Sige lang.
Feeling ko nahugot yung mic, tapos nag-quit si
Ah.
GarageBand, tapos nawala din ako dito.
Oh. Tapos nagloko na si StreamYard.
Tapos nagloko na si StreamYard. Teka ha. Subukan kong gumawa ng bago na GarageBand. Okay. Okay. Input. Bakit Zoom audio device? Hindi yan. Sorry, it's my first time too.
Okay. We've all been there.
We've all been there. Goodness. Bakit? Okay, okay. Okay, ito na yata. Feeling ko ito na yon. Hello? Ayan, okay. Hindi na ako
Hello?
gagalaw. Masyado raw
Internet
ako
ko na lang.
malikot. Okay, sorry. Do you want me to start again or how do you
Yeah.
do you
Tuloy,
want to start? Okay.
tuloy na lang natin. I think, sige, ako na lang.
You start na lang with the first
Yeah,
question
so,
again. Yeah.
yeah, I'm
Okay.
gonna start with my first question. Why do you think forgiveness is important?
Okay. Well, because it's just so heavy to be carrying so much anger and so much baggage. And if you did give the episode that I did about forgiveness, if you gave it a listen, I gave an example where in like grade school, yung meron kang kaaway, yung parang, hindi tayo bate, whatever, hindi kayo papansinan. But then the other person doesn't even know you're angry pala. And it's just, can you imagine like weeks of you carrying that, galit ako sa'yo. And like the other person didn't even know that you were angry. So it's just so much energy wasted. And it's just a lot easier to course through life with less of the unnecessary baggage.
Were there any more, because I really love the example that you gave me nung bata ka, tapos parang may galit, may kaaway ka, tapos hindi nga alam na kaaway ka. But right now, in your adulting phase, were there any moments where you experience a certain pain and hindi kaagad nagpatawad, or you didn't give the forgiveness right away?
Oh yeah. The very, very significant one is the one with my mom.
Hmm.
Alam na ba niya to? Baka mamaya magulat siya dito. Na-joke lang. Alam na ba niya? No, I mean, we all have whatever issues with our parents, right? And for a lot of us, we blame them for the way we turned out or for the pains that we carry, diba? And for the longest time, I was angry at her for those things, for the shortcomings, for the things that she did before that I felt like affected how I was as a person and how
Mm.
I was in relationships, and I blamed her for that. And until I sought help from, a psychologist, and it was a major effort also on my part to try and hindi pa nga forgiving yung the goal in my head eh. I really just wanted to fix my own issues so that, so that I could be okay. But a huge part of that pala is forgiveness. So you have to, and the super important thing that I clearly, clearly remember that my psych told me was that you just have to accept that your expectations from her will never be met. Just accept what
Wow.
she is now, what has happened, and forgive. Diba? You will never forget, but forgiveness does so much for you, your mind, your soul, your body, diba? And it really changed so much in me. Before kasi, pag nag-aaway kami, because there's always that anger in the back of my head, and we had the huge argument, kaya, which prompted me to go and see a psych also and tell her about that, was that parang my mom said something like, when is it ever going to end? When are you ever going to stop throwing the wrong things that I did back at me, di ba? Kailan matatapos? When will I stop paying for the wrong things that I've done to you? She asked me. And because I was coming from starting to come from a forgiving place, I had told her that, mom, I forgive you. I'm choosing to forgive you, but think of it as a sugat na malalim. Tapos nag-heal na yung sugat, pero may scar pa din siya. So I will forgive, yes, but I have forgiven. But the scar will always be there forever. And what I am doing now is just learning to live with the scar better.
Yeah, sorry, you were cut off. I'm so sorry. I think it's my internet na.
It's
But yeah,
okay. Na-record ko naman siya. Which
yung,
part did
yeah.
I get cut off?
Well, yung sa parang when will this ever stop?
Oh, that was quite far. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
No. Okay, let me just say it again. No, so we had that huge argument and then she was like, when will this ever stop? When will you stop throwing the wrong things that I've done to you? Throwing it in my face. Parang ganon. Kasi pag nag-aaway kami, ikaw kasi, di ba ganon? You did this, blah, blah, and you weren't there for me. When will it ever end? And I said, Mom, think of it as a scar, as a sugat na malalim, na naukit when those things were done. The pain, the sugat is there. It has healed. So yes, I have chosen to forgive you. But there's a scar. And the scar will be there forever. And now what we're learning to do as mother and daughter in this relationship is to just, learn to live with the scar and live with it better. And that has done
Wow.
so much for our relationship. Kasi ngayon, we're both coming from, diba, hindi na galit. Parang ganyan ka, ganito ko, mahal naman kita, mahal mo ko. Para saan yung galit? Ugh, wasted emotion, really.
Yeah. Well, that's an amazing concept. And I think what really hurts a lot of us is when we get disappointed, when our expectations are not met. And as you said, yung expectations na meron tayo will never be met. Because as much as we want to have the perfect parents or us to be raised in a certain manner, especially now in social media, we could see like what is definitely right and what is, really, really wrong in how to raise a kid. Like it's now easy for us to do the right things because we have access to that. But sila noon, parang wala naman silang ganto klaseng resources to know what is definitely right and what is definitely wrong. And one thing that I love, I always love talking about because I too had like a very rough relationship with my father
Mm-hmm.
when I was growing up. He would like beat me like physically and emotionally and verbally. But
I'm sorry.
as
Mm-hmm.
as as I was growing up, I realized that it was not entirely his fault because he didn't know any better. Like
Mm-hmm.
nung nakita ko yon na parang okay, like what am I gonna do now? Like maybe hindi niya talaga magets. Hindi niya talaga magets yung pain ko. Maybe hindi talaga mag-heal tong wounds ko. And I think that's a very unique concept that you shared, is that we can never really heal. Maybe we can never really heal some of the wounds that we have. We can just try to learn to live with it. And
Mm-hmm.
I want to ask, in your, with your relationship with your mother and the other people, like, do you ever come to a point na parang wala na talagang bigat, or paano mo nasasabi na you have forgiven this person already?
Wala na talagang bigat. Um, I'm gonna use my mom again as a perfect example because I just saw her earlier today after so long. I think masasabi ko na completely ko nang na-forgive ang isang tao kapag meron siyang nasabi or nagawa ulit that triggers something in me that
Mhm.
used to be such a huge trigger before. And my reaction to that would be to step back, take a deep breath, and come from a loving
Wow.
place and just be honest with that person. Like, oh, mm, I don't like what you said. What do you mean? Kasi diba, oh, this is also another major thing about forgiveness is that the thing about our minds is that we have different stories in our heads. Like when you're in an argument or when you've been wronged by someone. Diba? It could have started from may sinabi ako, that's not really what I meant, but because you were angry or you had this perception of me, the story that you heard it differently. Diba? I can say, I
Mm.
love you, I love you, I love you. I can say it in that way. Diba? And pwede mo siyang nakuha, napilitan ka lang eh. But me, I really meant it. Alam mo yun? So, when you're speaking with someone and when it starts to feel like you're getting angry or it's getting harder for you to come from a forgiving place, just always step back and think, what's the story in my head? And what could be the story in that person's head? This is what I meant. What did you mean? But what did you mean? Kasi na-trigger ako sa sinabi mo eh. But what did you really mean? Because I heard it differently. And that's a huge step moving towards coming from a forgiving place. Is trying to understand whether it's hurting you or not, is to try to understand where the other person is coming from.
That is such a lovely concept. Like I didn't think of it that way. Like sometimes we think that, when we forgive someone, like the end goal is like totally wala ka nang nararamdaman, like detached ka na from any kind of feeling. But sometimes hindi pala ganon. Sometimes we just learn to understand the situation better, and so that nandun pa rin yung triggers, nandun pa rin yung parang uneasiness or discomfort in a way, pero we now learn how to manage those emotions. Like ikaw, what you do is you take a step back and try to ask him, well, what do you mean by this? Ganyan, wait lang, medyo na-trigger ako. That's amazing. And I think, forgiveness is such a heavy word as well that we throw sa iba't ibang bagay. Pero it's also a messy thing. Like, it's not this I forgive you and let go na lang lahat. It consists of a lot of more complex emotions, but still it has the same goal. It's you focusing more on your reactions, or how you see or how you perceive the situation, na hindi ka lang basta-basta nagre-react. So
Mm-hmm.
one thing that I like about that is, I think it falls down to us being able to learn about the things that we have control over, and yung mga bagay na wala talaga tayong control. When was the moment that you felt that ganun pala talaga yung forgiveness, na it's about within, it happens inside of you?
And you can't get it from somebody else
Yeah.
or from outside. Diba? That's the thing. You can't change a person. You can't force a person to change para ma-forgive mo siya. Parang no matter what a hurt, the other person who did what, no matter what they did to you that hurt you, ikaw lang naman ang makakapag make that huge step towards forgiveness. You can't expect that from anybody else, really. I mean, come on. From my relationships with my parents and now with my husband, when we argue, when we fight, ang daming sisihan eh, lalo pag mag-asawa na kayo, di ba? Kasi mahal na mahal yung isa't isa, pero also, you know all the deepest, darkest secrets of each other. So, alam mo yung nagagamit as bala eh, di ba? To
Mm.
hurt the other person. And now, when hurtful things have been said, or hurtful things have been done, it's harder to forgive now because you expect that person na nga to love you and not to hurt you. But ironically, di ba, the people you truly, truly love are the ones who can actually hurt you the most. But sorry, what was your question? I got lost. Did
Like,
I answer your question?
how are you able to learn, or how did you able to learn that like forgiveness is something that you give or
Only
you
I
don't?
can control.
Yeah, oh yeah, only you can control.
A very recent argument that I had with my husband. Dami ko naman palang dinadivulge dito sa small talk with Alec Cuenca. A recent argument that I had with him, yun nga eh, nagkakainitan talaga kami ng ulo. So once you get to that point of no return, wala na. Nothing is going to come out of their argument anymore. It's always just gonna be saying hurtful things, what you did, what you didn't do, la 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 la.
Mm.
And if I had pushed through with that, dahil galit ako, wala kaming mahihita. Walang mapupuntahan yung conversation na yun. Matutulog kami ng galit sa isa't isa. Forgiveness in that sense and in that certain situation that allowed me to realize that it was all under my control was to step down and make a joke. It was so hard. Sometimes, we take ourselves too seriously. I mean, come
Yeah.
on. Diba? What are we even fighting about? Why are we so angry? What is all this for? I made a joke and then yung tawa niya yung pilit pa eh. And then nag-joke ako ulit. So natawa na lang siya ulit. Alam mo yun? And then we both just laughed. And what were we fighting about? Wala, I don't even know. It's just, and it's all, and that's a great example of I guess putting it there na parang it's really all just under your control. Isipin mo isang ganun lang, kaya nating
Yeah.
mag-shift ng emotion. Mag-joke lang ako, natawa na tayo, ano nga yung pinag-aaway natin? Hindi ko maalala eh. Ba't ba tayo nag-aaway? I don't know. Diba?
Yeah.
Sometimes we can just get all up in our heads.
Mhm.
And sometimes we're taking ourselves too seriously, really. But to answer your question, that was how I realized it was all under my control.
Yeah, kasi nga pag minsan pag we're so pissed or we're so mad or we're in an argument, gusto natin makakuha ng sorry, makita na ako yung tama, ikaw yung mali. Para mapatawad na kita, sabihin mo, ipakita mo sa akin na alam mo na ikaw yung mali at alam mo kung bakit ka nagkamali. But
Gusto mo
turns
lang
out na
manalo.
yeah, 'di ba? Meron tayong ganong tendency eh. Gusto nating manalo eh. Parang sabihin mo ikaw yung mali. Alam mo but para mapatawad na kita kahit na minsan
Diba?
tayo may kasalanan talaga. Pero para
Pero
mapatawad na kita,
hindi.
dapat alam mo yung pero it all changes just like a quick snap na parang okay, put your parang chill, like make a joke, sabi mo nga sa example mo. And
Yeah.
in that sense, parang ikaw na yung sa'yo na nanggagaling yung forgiveness. And then if kung siya talaga yung nagkamali, lalabas na yung sense na okay, I'm sorry for what I did, what I said earlier. Mas madali nang makipag-usap sa ganun. Parang mas madaling
Totoo
hindi alam mo kasi
yan.
yung mga sasabihin mo hindi niyo na pagsisisihan and okay na.
Oo.
So that's a very powerful concept about forgiveness. Not really,
Just laugh at yourself.
yeah, make a joke. Don't take everything too seriously. Very
Yeah. Oh, and
personal.
another thing, can I just add, like, I guess in terms of if we were going to use that as an example, like, say arguments with your loved ones, um, this is so much easier said than done.
Mhm.
It's harder to remind yourself when you're in the heat of the moment, but it
Yeah.
also helps if kung sino yung mas grounded sa inyong dalawa. Let's say ikaw, in this situation, because ako yung pinag-uusapan ko, di ba? Step back and just lovingly say and accept with yourself na it doesn't matter who wins. Especially if
Yeah.
it's with a loved one. Well, it doesn't matter who wins. What matters is that we fix whatever this problem is, which is why mahalaga yung, ano ba yung story na nasa ulo mo? Ano ba yung narinig mo? Na sinabi ko na na-hurt ka? Kasi this is what I meant. I'm sorry I said, 'di ba? And it's also important for you to um accept and take accountability for the things that you said in anger. 'Di ba? Minsan kasi it's very nice to hear din pala na kapag sinabi sa'yo ng someone you're having a hard time to forgive, sinabi nila na, I'm sorry I said this because I was hurt and I wanted to hurt you back. Ang simple, di ba, pag narinig mo. Pero pag nasabihan ka, yun lang yun. Yun lang yun. Sinabi ko lang siya kasi nasaktan ako. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I said it, but I was very, very hurt.
Yeah. Ang galing. Like one thing din na parang I remembered something na ako rin, ako parang sa akin, kunyari every time na may argument, even with, especially with loved ones, tapos pag nagsasorry na sila, I don't know if you feel the same way, pero I kind of feel bad. I kind of feel sad or bad inside na parang, kasi okay, yun yung ina-expect mo eh. Yun yung ina-expect mo pag nagkakaroon ng argument. Like marinig mo yung sorry. Pero the moment na marinig mo siya, parang ikaw tuloy na, wala naman yun eh. Hindi naman talaga big deal yun eh. Wala naman yun sa akin. Parang okay na, ganyan. Parang ikaw pala, parang pag binalikan mo siya na, pwede mo naman palang i-drop na lang eh. Pero it's your pride or whatever, your ego is holding you up. Pero the truth is, it's not a big deal para sa'yo talaga. It's like, you just want to win the argument. And so,
Yeah.
yeah. But I think that karamihan naman nata tayo na experience yun. But yeah, so I want to ask you now, like, what's your like best tips or best practices for forgiving someone? Do you have like, a specific set of rules on how to forgive a person? Like, for
Oh my
example,
God.
someone did a really, really bad thing sa'yo. Like, kung meron kang ex na nag-cheat sa'yo, tapos nag-ask for forgiveness, or like, may manakit talaga sa'yo na hindi mo na makakalimutan, na lumagpas na talaga sa boundary mo, what do you do?
Mabalikan pa ba natin yung mga ex? Tingnan natin kung aabot tayo doon. Pero pag-usapan na lang natin pag-usapan na natin ng isang recent thing that also happened to me. Gosh, I don't know if she's going to be able to hear this. But anyway, it's so funny because all of this is so timely. I actually just had seen a friend yesterday whom I haven't spoken to since before I got married in December. She was one of my bridesmaids, one of my good friends. And my wedding was through Zoom. And she didn't show up. No message, nothing. She didn't show. She just vanished. She didn't show up. And of course, at the day of my wedding, I was like, oh, she didn't show up. But I was too busy, just being happy, planning everything, la-di-da-da-da. And then when I got back to Manila, it was actually my husband who was like, where was she? How come she wasn't there? Yung husband ko yung ganun eh. Siya yung mapagtanim eh. How come she wasn't there? So ako tuloy napaisip, oh nga no, why didn't she show up? So I was like, baka she was just going through something. Sabi niya, hay nako, it's not an excuse. Diba, pinifeed ako ng husband ko. You should be angry. You should be hurt. Da, da, da. So ako parang, I think I was, because I had working on forgiveness so long, right? And I think I was coming from, I'm sure whatever it was that happened to her was something really grave for her to do that to me. Or for her to do that in general. Baka naman hindi lang ako yung ginanon niya. Alam mo yun, hindi mo umiikot yung mundo sa akin eh. Diba? I'm sure something happened to her for her to decide to go that route and just not show up and vanish when she knows it would be very special for me for her to be there. So I messaged her. I said, hi, how are you? Are you okay? Yun yung message ko sa kanya. Because nga I was coming from, grabe naman yun, no? Baka may pinagdadaanan kasi hindi talaga siya, bigla siya nawala. So when I saw her yesterday, because of a friend's child's birthday, she was so awkward with me. And I had just let it go already. When she messaged me a long, long message explaining, I just couldn't find it in my heart to reply to her yet because I didn't know what to say to her. But when I saw her yesterday, I just wanted to hug her. Alam mo yun, I missed her. And she was the one who was so awkward with me. Hindi siya makalapit. Tapos parang sabi niya, kasi yung text mo pa sa akin, how are you? Sabi niya, siguro kung yung text mo sa akin, hoy, bakit wala ka ng wedding ko? Baka nasagot pa kita. Sabi niya, pero ba't ang bait pa nung text mo? Sabi niya. Tapos sorry siya nang, sorry, ganyan, ganyan. Tapos doon ko na feel yung sinasabi mo kanina na, di, wala yun. Okay lang yun. Of course, I didn't say it that way, but I was just like, I was, exactly. I told her that maybe you were going through something. So now, as a friend, I would love to hear what you were going through that made you decide to just not show up at my wedding. What you did hurt me. It really hurt me because you weren't there, and you're very special to me, and I really wanted to be there. You were a freaking bridesmaid. You weren't just a guest,
Mm.
diba? And you didn't show up, so it hurt me. Um, so that's it. It hurt me then. That's a wedding. I still have my whole marriage for you to show up, hopefully, right? So wag mo na sigurong gagawin sa akin yun ever. But yun, and that was also major forgiveness that she couldn't understand, which is weird because she was the one asking for forgiveness, but she couldn't understand why she was telling me, don't naman belittle the hurt that you were feeling. It's okay. I know I owe you, blah, blah, blah. So I was like, it's okay. It's okay. Something happened to you. It's okay.
Yeah, so I think what's interesting about that story is, and I think for we can talk about this forgiveness in this sense, like ito lang kasi yung parang pinaka ako ganto ko lang siya tinitignan eh. Like if you come from a point of empathy na, and mahirap, like it's easier said than done. Syempre
Mm-mm.
we want to know why. We want to be right, 'di ba? Pero it's when you get to this certain point of peace sa buhay mo, like hindi mo nakakailanganin to, wala ka ng ano eh, wala ka ng sense to be right. Parang gano'n na parang no, it's okay. If I'm not right, that's okay. I just don't want to hold any negative energy inside my body, so I'm dropping it all. So what I do
Yep.
with that is I come from a point of empathy. So
Yeah.
parang lagi ko lang iniisip na no, always 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 hurt people. So
Yeah.
kung isang tao may nagawa sa akin, probably nasasaktan din siya in one way or another. So were you able to like verify that phrase? Medyo nabitin ako sa kwento eh, pero like I'm not asking you to go into the details. Pero sige, let's just talk about like the phrase hurt people. Because you also said that in that episode. So could
Mhm.
you dive a little bit deeper into that concept, and have you experienced that or seen that from other people in your life?
Yeah, I've experienced it firsthand myself.
Mm.
Diba? And now, because I guess thankfully for these podcasts, for the conversations that I've had with people such as, you, Alec, and, other people who are woke in this sense, or who are self-aware,
Yeah.
right? We've been going through this journey of self-awareness. And I think I've got myself a few times, even in something as babawas, meron akong nasagot na hindi ko naman dapat nasagot. Or like, ano ba yung pinaka-recent? Basta ako yung naka-hurt. Kasi
Uh-huh.
hurting ako. Kasi may
Mm.
pinagdadaanan ako. Kasi galit ako. Because I had a bad day. Alam mo yun, it's just common sense. If I'm not doing okay, it's harder for me to come from a good place. If I'm not, let's use that friend as an example. Gosh, I hope she doesn't hear this. Oh well, okay lang, nag-usap naman na kami. I won't go into deeper detail. But she was going through something in her relationship.
Mm.
That was really, she was hurting. So she couldn't find it in her heart to show up to a freaking wedding.
Oh, okay.
Diba? She was
Okay.
going through something herself. So, yun, hindi naman niya sinadya. It was just she was hurt. I'm sure she did. Yun nga, hindi naman niya ginawa yun para saktan ako eh. Siguro tanggalin natin yun in our heads na parang, you're doing this to hurt me. No.
Yeah.
Everybody's going through their own. Can I curse in your
Yeah.
podcast?
You can
Everyone's
curse all you
going.
want.
Everyone's going through their own shit, man. I mean, the world doesn't revolve around you. If you're hurting, this other person could also be hurting. In the same way, it's also been done to me. A very close family member of mine, when he was in a very bad place, was just very, very hurtful towards me. And it only happened, and I only found out what he was going through when we went through therapy together as a family. And he told
Mm.
us what he was actually, and it was really bad. Yun, I cannot divulge, but like he was going through something really bad, and he was
Yeah.
just he was snappy at everybody. Um, he wouldn't show up to family things. And yun nga eh, he was very hurt. Hence, he was overflowing with hurt and pain. So yun lang naman ang mabibigay mo kung yun lang ang meron ka eh. If you're filled to the brim with hurt and anger, then that's what will overflow and that's what will spill over to the people
Yeah.
closest to you even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, ang galing lang nun, no, na parang it what like manifests outside of you, like the vibe that you give or the energy that you give out, it's because that's what fills you inside. So if you are sharing love and kindness, then you're probably being kind to yourself inside, and you have a lot of love inside. And at the same
And it
time, if
overflows.
you're hurting other people, if you're like kinakalat mo yung sakit or bad trip sa mundo, yung bad vibes, kasi yun yung
Mm.
nagfe-feel sa'yo.
Mhm.
So yeah, but I want to talk about something when, because I recently experienced forgiveness in a sense na parang kahit sobrang lala na kahit hindi na nga nanghihingi ng sorry, parang okay, let this go kasi ako lang ang nakakaramdam nito. Parang ganon. So
Mhm.
so when I'm sorry. So when I experienced that, nung parang nagpatawad na ako, napalitan yung
Mhm.
galit ng gratitude. Na parang instead of me thinking about remorse or guilt, ganyan guilt trip or shame ko siya sa ginawa niya, like
Mm.
I now have this feeling of gratitude because when I try to look at from a macro perspective, I see that there are a lot of lessons behind the pain na
Mhm.
binibigay sa akin nung taong yun. Have you experienced something like that? Have you become like grateful in a sense sa mga taong nakasakit sa'yo?
That's beautiful. I love how you said, the anger turned into gratitude eventually when you step back and tried to look at it in a different perspective. Ito na, balikan na natin yung mga ex. Na-mention mo na rin siya kanina. Magagamit din pala natin sila, no? Useful naman
Ah,
sila sa buhay ko. Huwag naman
yes.
natin silang i-discredit. I'm gonna use them as a major, major example for this one because I am recently married to
Mhm.
a very wonderful man, to a man I would never have fallen in love with had I met him 5 years ago, and I hadn't worked on myself. But I'm very grateful for the exes who hurt me, who cheated on
Mhm.
me. This might not sound good that I'm grateful for someone who cheated on me, but that they put me through all that pain. That they
Yeah.
put me through all that pain because it allowed me to get to the lowest of my low in terms of self-respect, and
Mm.
which led me to seeing a psychologist and seeking help so that I could fix that and get out of that rut. That then allowed me to start the journey to getting to know myself better, loving
Mm.
myself better. I was single for 3 years, after all that. And I was single and I wasn't unhappy. I was single and happy in finding myself, and I was, starting a career for
Wow.
myself. I was, um, and it was all because of those hurtful things and bad decisions that I had done before. But I'm
Mhm.
grateful for everything that happened to me, all the pains brought about by these people, because it led me to a very grateful state that I am in now. 'Di ba? I feel like if hindi ko naramdaman lahat ng yon, hindi ko ma-realize kung gaano pala ka-wonderful magkaroon ng isang mabait na lalaki na, my God, meron palang ganito magmahal. Alam mo yun? Yung, deserve ko pala yung ganitong may magla-love pala sa akin ng ganito kahit ang baho ng utot ko. Alam mo yun? Yung mga ganun lang. Sorry, I'm just trying to put it in a lighter manner. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and I have actually told them. I have told a couple of exes who apologized to me 5 years
Mm.
later. It's so weird. It's like a weird energy. Parang pag okay ka na, when you've
Uh-huh.
let go, it's just people
Uh-huh.
come to you. It's an energy, I guess, that you
Yeah.
attract. Two
Yeah.
different people, two different guys who cheated on me. Di ba? I don't know why people cheated on me at the time, but maybe I didn't love myself enough, which I didn't, at the time. But they apologized to me for doing that. And they said, they didn't know any better. They just wanted this and that. And, they wanted everything at the same time. And this was 5 years later. And I appreciated the apology.
Okay.
Super
Yeah.
appreciated. Out of the blue. Yung isa kasi, the girlfriend cheated on him daw. So sabi niya, sorry, yung sakit pala nun. Siyempre, tumawa muna ako ng malakas, haha, buti nga. But like, I also told him, I'm so thankful. Wow, that's pretty big of you to come to
Mm.
me and apologize. And I really appreciate it. 5 years late, but very, very much appreciated. So I am grateful for all the pains that I went through. Because it led me to the life that I have now.
Yeah. And like you wouldn't be grateful if you were still going through the process of
Mhm.
change, right? Like you can only it's hard, it's a hard concept and kaya nga parang tayo we try to push people na kung nahihirapan man like kayo, keep going kasi darating talaga yung araw na you will be grateful or you will see the purpose behind
Yeah.
the pain that you are experiencing. And as much as wanna go dive into that topic, na medyo natawa lang ako dun sa nag-message yung ex mo. Like it goes full circle. Like
Oh,
alam mo yun, hindi unnecessary na. Okay ka na, masaya ka na sa buhay mo. Pero they always come back. I don't know what is it with the universe, pero they always come back. And it's just a weird thing. So, yeah,
hmm.
like do good, guys. Be good. Isipin mo yun, 5 years na, kinakain pa pala sila nung nangyari before. Ikaw okay ka na sa lahat-lahat. Pero,
Diba?
yeah. Anyway.
Oh, I didn't even see
Alright.
it that way. Oh my gosh. Okay.
Yeah. So, now I want to, because you touched on a little bit on this earlier, like, um, you learned to love yourself more nung nilagay ka nila sa rock bottom mo. So, can you talk about this journey to loving yourself more? When did this start? Or like what's like the major transitions that happened na akala mo dati ganito lang yung buhay tas biglang no, I gotta love myself pala. And self-love is a very important concept pala. When was the moment that you learned that?
That was when I went and saw my psychologist, who I'm still seeing
Mm,
until this day. This was
wow.
7 years ago, 6 years ago,
Mm,
thereabouts. I had just come from a really, really toxic relationship. And parang I just felt like I kept attracting the same type of men.
yeah.
What is
Okay.
wrong with me? Is it me? Is it my taste? Is something written on
Yeah.
my face? Alam mo yun? What is it? And and my pains were always the same. So,
Mm,
baka ako yung problema, 'di ba? Yun na yun eh. Baka may problema talaga ako kasi paulit-ulit eh. So I did. So I went and saw three actually. The first two, and this is something everybody should also know. When you go see a therapist, it won't always work the first time. Second time, you're lucky if you find a really good therapist. The first time, chances are you won't. So just find someone who works for you. Yeah. So the third one, who I'm still seeing now, her name is Sophie. Bless her heart. Um, what's this? She had told me that I will only be able to help you, and you will only be able to help yourself once you've accepted that you really truly need help. Kasi kung feeling mo okay ka pa, you're not gonna seek help, right? And there won't be any
yeah.
change because you're
Yeah.
okay. You're so. Okay pa naman na wala namang problema eh, di ba? Pero ito na, di ba? Pinuntahan na kita, magbabayad. Di kaya mura therapist. Pinag-ipunan ko yun. Babayaran kita for your time.
Uh,
Help me fix me. Alam mo, help me figure out what this is. Um, and I realized that I really needed help when I was already ano na talaga, like almost close to depression. Like I couldn't leave. I had such low self-esteem. I wouldn't go to parties. I won't show up to my friends' places. I mean, I just stayed at home, kept to
mhm.
myself. Ganon. And then I did see her, and it wasn't like overnight. Alam mo yun, it doesn't really happen overnight, and that's the reality of it. It's a journey that, for me, it took 3 years,
Mm.
I think, to be able to work on that. It was a conscious effort to not be in a relationship. I was dating, but I did not go into any relationship. And I think that was kasi ano ako a serial monogamist.
Mhm.
Lagi akong may boyfriend. Pero, ganon. And that was 3 years of me not committing to anybody because parang unti-unti nare-realize ko, yung nagsisift ka na, 'di ba? Yung nale-learn ko ng i-love yung sarili ko. Nale-learn ko na, and this is the most important lesson that I learned in my 20s, is that I don't need to force anybody to love me. And that's what I was doing in all those relationships. And I realized that through that journey of finding myself and working on myself and loving myself more, is that because I didn't love myself enough and I didn't really know myself enough, I kept on changing myself depende kung ano yung gusto kung sino yung boyfriend ko nun, kung sino yung
Oh.
friends ko nun, kung ano yung gusto niya na Cara, 'di ba? Just so they'll love me or they'll want to be with me because I didn't love and respect myself enough. Um, so yeah, and that's so important for me that I didn't need to force anybody to love me. So that I think when I started thinking that way, I started not getting attracted to the men I used to attract before. Diba? And then I met my husband, diba? 3 years later, I met him. We were just talking the whole night. We were talking ganyan. And he was so nice to me. And through the course of this relationship, and I still tell him this now, wow, meron palang kayang magmahal sa akin ng without the fuss, without the makeup, without me
Oh.
having to change anything. Diba? Without me trying to be the cool girl that I was trying to be, alam mo yon, before, he just loved me for me. And wow, yun pala yun. Yun pala yung makukuha mo kapag minahal mo na rin yung sarili mo. Kasi yun yung makikita nila. Yun yung makikita nung tao, magmamahal din sa'yo. Na mahal mo yung sarili mo.
That is really, really beautiful. Like even in the relationship sense, when we're trying to find the one, na parang is it will you parang masasabi mo, is it really possible? Like every time you search for the one, you end up especially if you don't have enough self-love sa sarili mo, or medyo mababa ang self-esteem mo, when you're trying to search for the one, you eventually change yourself depende sa
To
kung
fit
sinong
them.
ka-date mo.
Ah.
Para sa kanila, 'di ba? Binabago mo yung sarili mo para sa kanila. Like na hindi mo alam, na hindi mo napapansin. But if you become the one for the person, for na pwede mo pakasalan in the future, you won't even have to change yourself if you put enough work to work on yourself, to love yourself.
Mhm.
Hindi mo na kailangan mag-adjust. You just love yourself so much, and then the right person will come into your life and accept and love you for the way you are. And it's a perfect manifestation of what I always say, na don't chase, you don't chase, you attract. And when you say na I don't chase, I attract, like it's so powerful. Like that mantra is so powerful. You just be careful when you try to leverage that, kasi eventually you will attract a lot of people. Pero even though you're attracting, di ba sabi mo parang nakikipag-date ka pero hindi ka masyadong nag-invest or pumasok sa isang relationship kasi you're still learning to love yourself. Pero
Mhm.
dumating sa point na hindi mo na talaga kailangan. Hindi mo na kailangan kasi you love yourself so much, pero biglang dumating. You attract the right person that made you so happy right now. And I'm just so happy, and sana all, pero ang
Ah.
saya-saya lang makarinig na
Salamat.
masaya-saya lang
Hindi naman
makarinig.
perfect. Salamat. Pero
Hindi.
hindi pa rin perfect. Wala namang perfect
Yeah.
na relationship, guys. But
Hmm.
I think, if someone were to ask me talaga, ano yung perfect relationship? What makes you say you're so happy? Yun, yung just being loved for who you are. Honestly,
Mhm.
grabe, ilang taon na ako nun. 30 na ako nun, man. When I found someone that I really felt loved me for just exactly who I was. Flaws and all.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. So, I just want to go back before we dive into, mapunta na tayo sa relationships and love. Before I want to talk
Mhm.
about that, meron lang ako isang tanong, because you said that the first step to loving yourself is accepting that there is something that needs to be fixed, or parang alam mo yun, na when you're in this journey in improving yourself, you need to first accept that you need to improve. Like ganun talaga. So
Oh.
can you tell us a little more about that? What did you learn throughout that process?
Mm, let's say, for instance, mm, Yun, I guess in relationships nga, no, that I was always looking for, like what I said earlier, what made me realize that that something needed to be fixed is that there was always a pattern of me going for destructive relationships. Just
Mhm.
relationships with men who were emotionally unavailable, physically unavailable,
Mhm.
just generally unavailable and hurtful. And it was always, ewan ko kung subconsciously or baka nga consciously na yun yung hinahanap
Mm.
ko at the time. Ay, parang ano ako, I had a, my love will change you. Yung alam mo na bago ka pumasok, alam mong sasaktan ka nito. Pero hindi, my love will
Mm.
change you. If I
Ah.
change myself this way, you're going to love me, not like all the other girls. Choo, 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 whatever. Um, and when it became a consistent pattern with me, I knew that something had to be done. And it wasn't even just that. Actually, when I went to my psych, I was like, babaw nung problem ko. And to me, it was then babaw kasi feeling ko in my head, you go to a therapist when it's like something deep or you're in, deep depression or it's a huge deal. And for me, relationships naman actually yung pinunta ko dun eh. Bakit ba lagi ako nasasaktan? Feeling ko ang babaw-babaw ng problema. But then, it allowed me to dig deeper into what was the root of that? Why did I always feel the need to be in destructive relationships? Oh, it was because I was destructive with myself. It was
Oh.
because I was self destructive. It was because I really wasn't ready to commit myself. Hence, I was going for men who were, I guess, subconsciously not really going to commit to me.
Yeah.
In turn, alam mo yun? And it takes a lot, I guess, for you to really accept that something needs to be uh, fixed. I think I was just really in a lot of pain. Really in a lot of pain. And yung pattern nga na paulit-ulit na lang na parang walang nangyayari. Doon ko na-realize, parang may problema. May problema. And it's always good to be able to catch yourself and realize that you're the probably maybe the one with the problem and something has to be fixed. Kasi actually mas pinaka natatakot ako sa mga tao who never think they're wrong and who always find it offensive when you tell them that they could be doing something wrong.
Yeah.
Because there's no room for change or improvement.
Yeah, I love that. And by the way, this is not an easy task. Like we can talk about it right now. It seems easy and simple, but the truth is it requires a lot of courage to do something, to accept na like maybe it is you. Like it's not your fault. It's not your fault. You were programmed, deep inside your subconscious, yung mga beliefs mo nung bata ka growing up that led you to have those decisions, to
Mhm.
have those lifestyle that you are, self-destructing. But it is in your responsibility to accept and acknowledge na, okay, this is where I'm at right now. And there's something that needs to be fixed or improved upon. And as you said, nakakatakot nga pag hindi nakikita ng mga tao na no, we can have that mindset because if we have that mindset, we have room to grow. And like
Exactly.
I always say this, like the first step to solving a problem is to acknowledging that there is one. So, alam mo
Yeah.
yun, it's a very powerful concept, and I think you can start your self love journey with just that, accepting that you need to love yourself a little bit more.
Yeah, and you'll know it. Your body first will know it when you're
Mm-hmm.
always tired. You get little
Mm.
headaches, you get nausea, when you're just parang ang bigat ng pakiramdam. Diba,
Yeah.
nagmamanifest siya physically sa katawan mo eh. Your body will
Mm.
always find ways to tell you that, huy, love mo naman ako. You love mo naman ako more. Pakinggan mo lang. And I think once you start to listen to your body and your soul even, that you need to love yourself more, then that's when the change will come and the work can be done.
I love that. Your body catches up eventually. So if your mind is not healthy, if your soul is not healthy, your body will definitely catch up. So minsan nga pag parang tinry natin upuan ng isang araw and let us just feel our body, doon pa tayo magkakasakit eh. Pag tinigil na natin yung
Mm-mm.
pagtatakbo or pagde-distract sa atin with work, with alam mo yun, kung ano ng mga ginagawa natin, pag inupuan natin and let's just be, parang dun pa nagka-catch up yung katawan natin eh. When our body catch up, dun natin ma-realize, okay, I'm not healthy. I need to love myself a little bit more. So
Mhm.
yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. Now, I wanna talk a little bit more about the relationships because you touched on that, because it's a really inspiring story, and it's not those what you see sa mga fairy tales or sa mga Disney movies, di ba?
Oh.
Pero can you talk about how different it is from the expectations you had? Because by the way, congratulations on your recent wedding. Pero alam mo yun, what's like the main expectations that you had before na parang hindi pala ganito pala talaga siya. So maybe you could share that for the very young listeners here on Salt Talk.
Expectation
Sa,
saan? What do you
sa,
mean?
sa marriage, sa married life.
Oh, tas hindi pala ganon.
Hindi pala ganun.
Oh, it's okay. Weddings are
Or kung
beautiful. Yes,
yeah,
go ahead, go ahead.
or kung may mga expectations tas ganun pala talaga. Parang ano yung
Ah, some marriage. Okay. What was I saying? Weddings are beautiful. It's all, diba? All butterflies and rainbows and la da da and you're in bliss and all these things. And then after that, marriage happens. And marriage is tough. I guess what's good with me is that I had zero expectations because I didn't grow up.
mm,
I didn't grow up in a household. I didn't see a married couple, while I
mm,
was growing up. I was raised first by my grandmother alone, and then I was raised by my mother. So I was raised by two very strong women. I would see my father
mm.
from time to time, but I never saw marriage in the household.
Oh,
So wala akong
okay.
example. Wala
Okay.
akong nothing to compare it to. So I came in this with zero expectations. I just knew I loved him. I knew I wanted to build a life with him. Um, I know some shoulds because of the marriage books that I started reading kasi nga wala akong alam eh. Ano ba? Paano ba maging wife? Ano ba dapat yung magbabago? Magluluto ako, ganun lang ba? Hindi, LDR pa kami, di ba? So, what is a marriage? What
So,
is
food
it?
panda na lang ganun.
And to be honest, my husband and I are actually going through therapy now because we're
Mm,
LDR. There
mm,
and I felt like there were things that needed a little bit of sifting with the both of us to allow us to. And just because you're going through marriage, therapy, and it's I would advise it. I would definitely advise it. It doesn't mean there's something wrong. It just means you're two very different people who handle things very differently. Finances, your emotions, your arguments, and now you're suddenly going to be together forever. So
mhm,
how do you handle all those differences in one household? Diba? Forever. And that is the operative word, forever. So therapy really helps, getting to know each other even deeper. And it's more because you want to be able to deal with each other better. And that's, I think, an expectation that I had because of the marriage books that I was reading. Um, is that you will always fight. You will always fight about something. You will always disagree about something. And because you're and it's three separate entities pala. It's me, my husband in this case, and our marriage. The marriage, our union is separate from the both of us. It's a separate entity in itself that we both need to work on. And it takes some sacrifice. It takes a lot of pagtataya. 'Di ba? Ano yung English ng taya? It takes a lot of
bet,
not
risk.
not risk, okay, but there's a better word for it. Maybe I'll remember it later. But it takes a lot of pagtataya for the relationship, of jumping on the boat together, of yes, taking risks together to make your relationship work. And it's hard work. Again, because you come from very different backgrounds, very different beliefs, limiting or otherwise. And you just have to learn to work through all of those and live together. And it's not easy. It's an expectation. I Something that I expected, which is why I came into it ready for battle. Not for battle, but ready to work on it. Ready to take on it.
Well, good
Sinira ko
luck
ba
on
yung
your side.
yung Disney? Sinira ko ba yung ano? Did you mean for that to be a beautiful thing? Sorry. Let me
No,
try to
no,
end that
no.
with a beautiful thing.
It's okay. It's okay. Let's destroy the stereotypes that we have for Disney princesses. This is real life, guys. Ito talaga yung nangyayari.
No, kasi we
Anyway,
see all these
yeah,
marriages, diba? All these celebrities. Oh, they're so
Mhm.
perfect.
Yeah.
Oh, they're so blah, blah, blah. What we don't know behind closed doors is that it's tough
Yeah.
to be with someone uh, other than yourself. Tough.
It's hard. It's hard, and it's okay. It's okay. It's
And
definitely
it's
okay.
beautiful. Sorry, let me end it
Yeah.
with a good note. And it's
Okay.
beautiful. It's a beautiful journey because you have both decided to be with each other no matter what, to love each other no matter what. Yun eh. Yun yung
Mm.
marriage eh. Yung, uy, meron na akong kaakibat na kasama ko sa buhay, na magbe-build kami ng buhay namin together because we have agreed to build this life together.
Mm.
O
Yeah.
yan, okay naman. Good naman, no? Good.
Ang ganda na, ang ganda. Okay. Ang ganda nung quote natin dun sa dulo. Okay. So, I wanna talk about it, but bitin tayo sa oras. So, I wanna now talk about your podcast, because your
Okay.
podcast is titled After 30. So, what's the concept behind it?
I had started it because I just quit radio at the time and I missed it. I
Mm.
missed the microphone. I missed talking in general. And I just wanted my brain to keep working. But also because I had just turned 30 at the time. And I had a lot of pressure. I felt a lot
Mm.
of pressure turning 30. Di ba? Ang dami na expectations eh. More actually, not to be sexist or anything, but more for women who are turning 30.
Mm.
Biologically,
Mhm.
financially and all these things. And I wanted to put it out there. I wanted to just, you know what? Ay, harapin na natin to. Alam mo yun, meron pa sa trabaho, lalo na pag babae, yung you lie about your age. I say I'm 27, 28, whatever ganyan. Because pag 30, parang masyado ka nang matanda for this role. Parang masyado ka nang matanda for this project or whatever ganyan. And I'm like, no, that's not me. I'm going to accept that I'm 30 and love and thrive in my 30s. So I had my first episode was actually, how do we do this? What do we do? And it was me just talking about, oh my God, I'm so insecure, all my insecurities, all my fears. And I wanted it to be a safe space for women in their 30s, people generally in their 30s
Mhm.
or approaching their 30s to know that it's not just, they're not alone in whatever it is they're feeling. It's normal. Um, and it's also okay to feel however it is they're feeling. And they have a safe space with a group of other people who feel the exact same way
Mhm.
and who are going through the exact same things.
Yeah. I was just about to ask na parang, okay, what's your advice for the people who are in their 20s? But I figured na no, that's the point. Whether you are in your 20s or in your 30s, of course there's still some like difference in terms of experience, but you are all in the process of learning more about yourselves and learning more about life, right?
Mm-hmm.
So regardless kung 34 or 40 years old, if you come to a point that you really don't know what you're doing, or you have these insecurities, you have these fears and doubts, that's okay. Because we
Mm-hmm.
experience that all the time. A lot of people experience that, and you don't need to worry about it. So let me just ask that question in a phrase like, what what do you think is your best advice for people who are approaching their 30s?
um, it's the same. It's just oddly the same. It's just an age.
Mm-hmm.
Don't feel too pressured. Uh, just go for whatever makes your heart happy and whatever sparks joy without hurting anyone, of course. But the pressure is it's not it's an idea. It's non-existent. It's not real. Diba? It's not real. It's just an age. So work on bettering yourself, being kinder to yourself so that you can overflow with kindness to other people. And that if you haven't figured out what you want to do yet at 30, some people find their passion at 50, at
Mhm.
60. Diba? It's just in your own time.
I love that.
You will figure out life in your own time. But just have fun.
Yeah, have fun. And I want to ask probably one of my last questions is if you like is there something that you wish you would have done differently before dun sa going through the different experiences that you had? Was there anything that you wish, because now you know better, right?
Mhm.
Or meron ka bang isang moment na parang you wish you could have done differently?
Hmm. Yun, I wish I could have loved myself more. I wish I could have started the journey to loving myself more earlier in life. Maybe I wouldn't have been as hurt as I was. But then again, if I didn't go through that, hindi ako aabot sa ganito eh. So,
Yeah,
wala actually.
wala.
Wow, look
'Di
at
ba?
me. How big of me to say there's
Yeah.
nothing I regret. um, Wala talaga. I wish I would have done it differently. Really none. None that I can think of now. Balikan kita pag meron ako naisip.
That's good. I mean, that's really beautiful. That's really beautiful na parang no,
Hmm.
everything that happened for a reason. And you might have done something differently before, but maybe na lessen pa yung sakit noon, nabawasan man yung sakit pero nabawasan din yung strength na pwede mong makuha dun sa sakit na yon. So all gratitude, well, we are all thankful for the experiences na pinagdaanan natin. So uh, I really enjoyed this talk, Cara. I am really grateful na pumayag ka to have this conversation. I really love talking to like-minded people. But before I let you go, I have this small segment here on Small Talk. It's called Real Talk. Sorry,
Ooh.
it's called Five Questions. So this is five questions with Cara Eriguel, and
Uy.
I'll ask you some questions, and you need to answer it with either one word, one phrase, or one sentence. So
Hirap
it's
naman nun.
wholesome naman 'to. Wholesome naman tayo. Wala
Okay.
naman tayong ano, wala namang problema
Okay,
dito.
okay.
Okay, okay.
Okay,
Ready?
okay, okay.
So,
Whew!
first question, what is happiness?
Ah! Happiness is living by the beach.
Nice, nice. I know a lot of people could agree to that. Thank you for that. Second question, what is success?
Oof. Success is being fulfilled emotionally, psychologically, physically, and being comfortable with what it is that you have.
Yeah, sorry, nawala. Being
Did you
comfortable.
lose me?
Yeah, I lost. I got lost. Being comfortable.
Again, what was your question? What was your question?
What is success? Success is being able to be fulfilled emotionally,
Hmm.
spiritually, and being
Yeah.
comfortable. Sabi mo.
Yeah. Success being is feeling alam ko na. Okay, this was my answer before. Success is living by the beach. Gusto mo yung by the beach ba rin? Living by the beach and feeling fulfilled and being comfortable and happy for where you are in your life.
Wow.
Diba? Success
Yeah,
is
I
not
love that. Na parang
necessarily money all
may
the time.
balance eh. Ang ganda, ang ganda. So, third question, what is the best advice someone has given to you?
KISS, KISS. Keep it simple, stupid. Gusto mo yon? Keep it
Okay.
simple, stupid. No, actually, you know what? Scratch that. The best advice so far is something my father said at my wedding via Zoom. And he said, don't let life get in the way of your living.
Ooh, wow. That is nice. That is so
Yeah.
nice. Thank you
Yeah.
for that. Okay, fourth question. What is the worst advice that you have ever received?
Oh gosh, worst advice. Save all your money and keep them in the bank.
Mm, amazing, amazing advice. I could vouch for that.
Galing. Oh.
Galing, galing na nagsabi nun. Okay. Last last question. What do you want your legacy to be?
Wow! Bakit naman ganun yung tanong mo? Apakalalim nun ah. Um, I want to be able to create a safe space and create change and create a platform for people who do not feel like they have a voice to be able to speak and be heard, and to learn to be kinder to themselves and be able to, and then in return to be able to kinder to humankind. And I thank you both.
There you have it, guys. Cara Eriguel. Cara, thank you so much for being here on Small Talk. I enjoyed this talk. I hope you enjoyed this small and sweet conversation as
Very much.
well. Thank you again for coming here. If they want to learn more about the things that you do, please let them know where can they find you online, of course.
Gusto ko yung online, of course. You can find me at the beach. Chart. No, thank you very much, Alec. First of all, of course, for having me here. Thank you so much for allowing me this space and allowing me to share some of the things that I also know and share my energy with you in this platform. You guys, please do check out my podcast as well. I do have an episode there with the Alec Cuenca, where we talk about what do you do when you're languishing, and how to get out of the rut when you're languishing. Please check out After 30 with Cara Eriguel on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and wherever you listen to your podcasts. And check me out on Instagram and Facebook. That's at Cara Eriguel and at After 30 with Cara Eriguel. There.
Again, Cara, thank you.
Thank
Thank you so
you.
much. So, guys, if you like this episode, go ahead and share this on Instagram. And don't forget to tag us at Cara Eriguel and at Small Talk Podcast. And yeah, if you are listening on Apple Podcasts, do not forget to leave this podcast a rating and review because it helps the podcast a lot. And yeah, it's just amazing that the podcast is growing so much because of you guys who keeps on sharing the podcast on your social media channel. So thank you again for listening. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this one. My name is Alec Cuenca. This is Small Talk, small conversations with huge impact. And I'll talk to you guys next episode. Bye bye. Yay!
Thank you. Sorry,
That was
nasagot ko
fun.
naman yung mga tanong mo, no? Sobrang sabaw ko today. I just realized. Kasi meron ako
Oh,
sinasagot na tanong, tapos, ano nga, uli yung train of thought ko.
Ang ganda ng build up eh. Ang ganda. Parang naisip ko, oh hindi, para maganda yun. It's an imperfect puzzle. Let the listeners think about it. It's actually a deep thought. Let's just let them decipher it on their own.
Oh my God!